Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review the first episode of Slasher Season 4, Flesh and Blood, coming your way from Shudder. And I really appreciated the opportunity to check out this series, and hope you all check out the interview that I'm doing with some of the creators behind the show. It's also going to be showing up on Scare Magazine as well as the Wasteland Reviewer YouTube channel. There you go, shameless plugs all around. But to talk about this first opening episode of this new season of this show, I've never seen the first 3 seasons of Slasher, but it's an anthology series, so each season brings something new and fresh, and this season brings a wealthy but dysfunctional family gathering for a reunion on a secluded island. Their old wounds and competitive rivalries flare up when the family realizes a mass killers on the island intent on cruelly picking them off one by one. And on top of that, you also get David Cronenberg, who's in the show, who plays the patriarch of this family, who something's happening with him and he sets up this interesting game of they have to compete for all of his wealth, and his last descendant standing on this island is going to be the one who gets all of it. And this is a very interesting high concept idea for a series of television. And, you know, rich people do the weirdest things, and it's definitely true about this show. And it's interesting as you look at this cast, you have David Cronenberg, who's legendary director of science fiction and films like A History of Violence and Eastern Promises and A Dangerous Method. And he plays this very rigid, very angry, unhealthy older man, and he sets up this competition for his children who, between flashbacks, they show some of the tragedy that's happened and the tensions that still exist because of the fates of some of the children in this family. And it's an interesting dealing with both of these different timelines. As you see the present time, you see some hard, very tense and uncomfortable dynamics between some of these characters, including some of the siblings based off of one very traumatic event from their childhood. And you also see Cronenberg's wife, messing around with somebody else. And it does set up the violence and the gore level of the show, because the one main kill that you see in this first episode is gory. And it's very brutal, very detailed, and it all falls out there. Leave it like that, and you'll know exactly why I said it that way. But this builds up an interesting enough idea. I can't say that any of the characters were particularly likable at this point and this juncture. I hope that's something that would change over the course of this season with these new characters. So probably that's the biggest thing that I have from a drawback, but I feel like this first episode does enough to build up some intriguing ideas and concepts that will have you sitting there. This is the kind of show that feels like it could easily be that, binging and going from, instead of binging it and burning through all of it, but week to week, probably going to be enough to talk about compelling things to kind of talk around the water cooler with other people, to use that idea, and really speculate on who's next, who's doing it, where's this all going. I had all those questions in the back of my head at the end of the first episode, and it was intriguing enough for me to want to find out the answers to those questions, which I think is the biggest thing. You might have those questions pop up, but how much do you care about finding an answer? I think this first episode builds up enough tension and suspense to make you really think about what's going on here, and you want to find out. I know I did. I would definitely recommend this to all of your slasher fans out there. If it wasn't obvious enough that this is based off of slasher movies and slasher ideas, then boom, it's in the title. So there you go. And you certainly get some slashing and disturbing things happening in this first episode. So check this one out on Shudder, as this is coming out on the 12th. But those are my thoughts on the first episode of Season 4 of Slasher, Flesh and Blood. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some TV. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.